guys, Steve here from Bloom Audio. Today we have the Soloist 3X GT from Burson. Now for most of us, when we think GT, we think of, fast cars like a Mustang GT, and not just a car with a lot of horsepower, but one with those other features that really add to your total driving enjoyment. So with this bigger, more powerful, more capable version of the Soloist 3X, does it elevate your listening experience to the next level and really earn that badge? Let's take a closer look and find out. On the front, it's a pretty standard setup here. So we have a mic bypass. We've got a 6.3 millimeter output, a 4-pin XLR output, and that's pretty standard in terms of input and output. We'll get to the screen and interface in just a second. Then on the back, we've got something a little bit more interesting. So we've got an array of analog outputs back here. So this is your right side, this is your left side. For input 1 on RCA, you're going to use right and left. For number 2, again, right and left. And then you have your preamp output in the center. In the box, in addition to the Soloist GT itself, there's some pretty cool stuff. So the big thing is the Burson Supercharger 5 amp version, the 5A, is included with the Soloist 3X. So this is a really solid power supply that they've included with that, kind of a step up. And then they also have the various international adapters right in the box for you there. So wherever you're at, you're getting that same package. So there's this cable, which is designed to be used with the mic bypass. You've got the adapter there, as well as the Allen wrench. This unit is designed to be user serviceable. There are parts like the op amps, which are easy for users to replace, as long as you check the manual and double check the manual, make sure you're installing everything correctly. Burson has started including these adapters for the pre-outputs to avoid any kind of issues with that if you need an extra set of RCA outputs. So we have that as adapters included, and the IC op amps, integrated circuit op amps for testing in case there is some kind of issue, or if you're doing an op amp swap to help you with that. Notice there's 6 here because there are 6 replaceable op amps included with the Soloist 3X GT. Oh, and I almost missed one more thing. The remote is also included, so that lets you mute, change your input, or adjust the volume on the 3X GT from a distance. Soloist GT's hardware and output is pretty generous. You've got 4 total inputs, as well as the preamp and subwoofer outputs mean you get a pretty flexible setup here. The head plus sub is definitely a unique idea, giving you that ability to listen with presumably open back headphones and get that big physical response from a subwoofer while getting that up close detail you can get from headphones without the need for an acoustic treated room or any of that other stuff to create a really unique listening experience. The 12-volt trigger system is also a nice feature here that lets the Soloist GT integrate with other flagship products, other desktop products that have this. It's just a really convenient feature that I know a lot of people are looking for when they've got a more complex setup, and I'm glad Burson added it here. So the interface and options on the Soloist GT, pretty straightforward. You're powered on. This will help you select your input. So you've got RCA1, RCA2, XLR1, and XLR2. And then you just tap out of that. Then you have your output options, preamp, head plus sub, or just straight headphone amp. Again, just press the button. This is your screen rotation. So if you're using this with a cool stand, you can change that to be vertical. I don't recommend trying to stand this up on end without the appropriate stand. Just set that back. And you can hit settings. And again, it's very similar interface. Press the button. You can adjust. You have your 3 gain levels, high, medium, low. And you can adjust the left-right balance. So I'm guessing this is going to be more useful typically in a room setting where you're using this to adjust based on the room size and all of that. Oops. And then you've got the OLED level, which is just going to change the brightness of this little screen. Crossfeed adjusts the crossfeed feature, which basically feeds a little bit of the right channel into the left and the left channel into the right to create a more speaker-like response, and also kind of adjust for some older recordings and other things, but it can help with the presentation of the stereo image, especially on closed-back headphones. Then you can turn the remote control on and off, and there's an option to do a factory reset and reset everything back to the original settings. In terms of its sound, Soloist GT is pure Burson. Takes the powerful, transparent output of the Soloist 3X Performance and has a sense of fullness, more depth in the bass, bigger sound stage, and a little bit stronger sense of detail in 2. Along with pushing that sound stage further out than before, giving you more headroom with that extra wattage. And with that extra wattage, it makes the performance with flagship headphones that much more effortless, where you're talking about something that's really hard to drive, a Susvara, or one of these, maybe like these 300 ohm Bayer Dynamics or something like that. It's not even flexing when it's giving that extra power. It's just right there. So the delivery is very much on the neutral reference end, but very balanced. It's giving you that definition, that upper end detail and response. It's giving you that bass slam, but it never feels tilted in one direction or the other. It's very strong and balanced throughout without really being fun nor being analytical. But I think the key characteristic is just how dynamic it is, both in terms of micro and macro dynamics. Where, like I said, you've got the power to drive the slam and physical response from headphones, maybe like an LCD4, Susvara, that are a little harder to coax that out of, while at the same time providing that level of fine detail and micro dynamics with something like a Utopia that can really reveal the small aspects, the micro detail and all of that in a song. Soloist can deliver that. So a couple months before the Soloist GT came out, iFi launched the Pro iCAN Signature, and the two share a lot of similarities as headphone amps. The power levels are about the same, similar selection of input and output, but there are some differences in the design and philosophy behind them. So in terms of basic features, differences are very minor. Like iCAN has support for a couple different types of input that Soloist doesn't. iCAN is probably going to be better for IEMs because it offers a 3.5 millimeter and a 4.4 millimeter output on the front, both of which are IE matched. So specifically designed to translate that higher wattage power into a IEM operation with a really low noise floor there. And so Soloist GT doesn't have any of those standard outputs. On the back of the unit, things are pretty much the same. iCAN has 3 RCA and 1 XLR. Soloist GT has 2 RCA and 2 XLR. And Soloist GT also has that subwoofer output for the head plus sub design, which is not something that iCAN can do. So I think where you see the big difference is in these things like iCAN has the tube mode, it has the X-Bass option. Both of them do have a crossfeed, though iCAN's is a little bit more technically complicated than the Soloist's crossfeed. So with iCAN, you have that option to sort of warm up the sound a little bit with tube mode, smooth out the highs, and all of that. It also has the X-Bass option, which lets you basically do a bass boost, which can get pretty deep and thick. Whereas the Soloist is, again, just the design philosophy behind that is this is the sound. This is pure, unadulterated headphone power. And hopefully that's what you were looking for when you bought this, because that's what you're going to get. So the power delivery is a difference there too. While iCAN on paper has more wattage than the Soloist GT, I found, practically speaking, the Soloist GT had an easier time with hard-to-drive headphones, and it really brought out those dynamics that slam in planar magnetic headphones with more ease than the iCAN did. So, if you're looking for something specifically to drive, say, a Susvara, while iCAN definitely gets the job done, I felt like Soloist would just had a one notch better in the headroom and in the dynamics with the Susvara. So there are, some similarities and some differences there. And again, at this flagship level, your specific needs are probably going to drive which one you're going to gravitate towards. So the predecessor to this, the Burson Soloist 3X Performance, gives you amazing sound and performance for the price. And Soloist 3X GT is just kind of the obvious step up from there. The new features, from the crossfeed, the 12-volt trigger, to the head plus sub mode, really make this into a flagship level headphone amp. And then the increased power just takes your performance to the next level. It's just that much less effort in getting that slam and dynamics out of hard-to-drive planar magnetic headphones. So yeah, if the GT badge on a car means you're getting next level power and performance, then the Burson Soloist 3X GT is the perfect headphone amp to wear that badge. Thanks for watching. You can check out the Soloist 3X GT and a lot of other great headphone amps and other products at bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more hi-fi personal audio content.